Now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning and welcome to a webinar for TMI Africa. My name's Terrence Ohanlon. I'm the CEO and publisher of Reliability Web and Uptime Magazine. It's my pleasure to be the presenter for today. Today we're going to talk about why reliability leadership is broken and how we will fix it. As I said, I'm Terrence Ohanlon, CEO and publisher of Reliability Web and Uptime Magazine. This is me 150 feet below Paddington Station at the Crossrail dig, 41 miles of subway. I am a reliability strategy advisor. I'm the recipient of the first CMRP of the Year award by SMRP. I'm a voting member of the U.S. Technical Advisory Group for ISO 55000 Asset Management Standard. I was the U.S. representative on the Asset Management Expert and ISO Working Group 39 that drafted the standard for assessment and certification of ISO 55001. I'm a conference producer, and I produce conferences like the International Maintenance Conference, the Solutions 2.0 Virtual Conference, and the Reliability Conference coming up in Las Vegas in just a few weeks. I'm the director of the Association for Asset Management Professionals. I judge the Uptime Awards and the Infrastructure Awards, treasurer for the Institute of Asset Management in the USA. I am CMRP, and I have an Asset Management Certificate from the IAM. Mainly, I'm just very excited about reliability and asset management, and I'm glad to share with you today. Before we begin, I want to show you a picture of the team at Reliability Web for two reasons. One, I like to brag on them whenever I can. I couldn't do any of the work that I do without them, so I thank them for that. And second is, notice they're holding the mission and vision statement, and that's an important part of reliability leadership, is everyone knowing how to work to the mission and vision. And the mission at Reliability Web is to make reliability leaders to discover and deliver ways to make maintenance reliability leaders safer and more successful. And even though some of them are working in sales or graphics or accounting, you can come by Fort Myers sometime and find out how they map their job to the delivery of the Reliability Web mission and vision. Well, this is the typical business challenge that we all face, needing to get more asset performance at the same time to spend less money avoiding downtime. It's a constant challenge, and we're constantly being tasked with improving in both of these areas. However, when we work to improve our maintenance practices, our reliability practices, and our asset management practices, and we work on projects to do so, oftentimes it's very difficult to point to any organizational change, any return on investment, or any performance improvement as a result of that. In fact, at Reliability Web, our research suggests that ad hoc maintenance initiatives, we call them the chaos of opinions, results only in 30% of those initiatives being successful. What we mean by that is causing sustainable business success. As an example, we surveyed over 600 organizations and asked them if you had used reliability-centered maintenance, which, by the way, is the technique that's used for developing aircraft maintenance. So it's a very valid technique for determining maintenance requirements. In fact, it's so valid that you have no issue going to sleep on an airplane. So we asked the question again, if you had done RCM at one point in time and you stopped, why? Well, in 18% of the time, because RCM produced the results, the desired results, and we completed the project. Otherwise, other excuses like RCM did not produce the desired result, the funding ran out for RCM, the RCM analysis was too difficult, there was no or too little management support, too little manpower, the RCM analysis was completed, but the results were never implemented, and on and on and on. I know many of you have spent millions, if not tens of millions of dollars on your computerized maintenance management system. Some people refer to it as enterprise asset management. Um, and after spending millions of dollars on software, we like to see excellent as a rating. You would think you spend millions, you would have some super excellent software. We found only 12% of our survey, and we asked 703 companies about their use of CMMS and its ability to support plant maintenance. Only 12% said that was successful, was excellent. So again, we're being generous with the 70%. Only 30% of these ad hoc maintenance initiatives tend to deliver sustainable business success. Luckily, it isn't just in maintenance, reliability, and asset management. We found an article in our research from Harvard Business Review that said they studied 200 management tools, total quality management, enterprise resource planning, CRM, in 160 companies and compared shareholder return for over 5 years. I quote from the author, "Our findings took us by surprise. Most of the management tools and techniques we studied had no causal relationship to superior business performance." So do any reliability methods work? And we say 70% of the time the answer is no. Many times alignment to the aim is missing. Remember, I showed you the reliability web team holding the mission vision document. In other words, they do their work regardless of how it might deliver the aim. They do their work to the delivery of the aim. Oftentimes we find that frontline alignment and coordination is missing. In other words, the very people who will be affected by the changes you want to see in reliability and asset management don't understand the new system. They weren't included in developing it. There's a simple execution gap. In other words, we all have full-time jobs, and yet we're supposed to make these reliability improvements in the middle of our full-time job. And unless you have a very disciplined execution methodology, that can be very difficult. A lot of these organizations manage with what we call lag indicators. In other words, they're using scores to try to manage, but scores already happen. So you need to manage with lead indicators. Integrity is lacking in many of the situations that we find, and it's directly related to reliability. Reliability is treated as an engineering exercise, as a maintenance initiative. We say reliability is not a maintenance initiative, it is a business initiative, and you need to treat it as such. Many methods that we see are aimed at doing better efficiency. In other words, doing the maintenance work you're doing more efficiently, which is fine. We need efficient maintenance work, although you cannot plan and schedule your way to reliability. Many of the methods that are being sold aren't based in disciplined failure elimination or reduction. In other words, we see a lot of condition monitoring technologies in use to improve reliability, but they're not linked to criticality and they're not linked to failure modes analysis. They're done in a very undisciplined way. Many point solutions fail to address the holistic requirements of reliability. And of course, everybody suffers from data integrity, not being able to support current decisions or future refinement. So why is that? Why does that 70% happen? And we say that it's your culture. And your culture is directly reflected in the reliability of your equipment. And your reliability is reflected in the culture of your people. In other words, we say that your culture and the reliability of the equipment are linked at 100% level. They're synchronized. In other words, they're exactly connected. No matter how good your strategy is, it's your culture that determines your performance. This valve was 3 years in the CMMS as PM compliant. The PM instruction was to check the valve. And of course, people had checked the valve that was there. The valve worked and it was in existence. But of course, that's not what the intention of the PM was. But it was a vaguely worded PM, and that was the result that was gotten. Now, you can imagine I travel a lot. In fact, I'm calling in today from Lima, Peru, working with some really great people here. But I wanted to just say that, I obviously can scour the world for these kind of pictures, and there are no other pictures like these. These are like one in a million pictures. Oh no, I did find one other. This is not a Photoshop picture. This is a mezzanine that was built in a water utility that way for 18 months. Again, you can have the best reliability strategy in the world. It's your culture that delivers performance. You can do the electrical inspection behind these water pipes. This fan was reported well balanced, no vibration, 2,750 RPM. What is it about this gentleman's actions? Why does he consider this to be safe or reliable behavior? Why is it that these gentlemen feel that this is not putting themselves and their family and their organization at risk? Why do some people put on a bearing with a hammer? Why do some design engineers design replaceable and maintainable items without giving physical access to the space required? You know, we went to a company and they brought out their number one maintenance technician, and he was a guy who could replace the pump. When the plant went down, he could replace the pump in 14 minutes. And the plant manager came and tapped him on the back and said, "That's great, congratulations, and thank you." And you know, for us, we say that in systems thinking terminology, that a feedback loop has been initiated at that point in time. You know, if you've ever worked with anybody who did something that didn't make sense to you, it made sense to them. I can tell you that human beings don't do things that don't make sense to them. So this is an important law. This is Terry's first law of reliability, is that how things occur to people is how performance occurs. In other words, I'm going to say it one more time. How things occur to people synchronizes at 100% level with how they perform. How things occur to people synchronizes with how things are performed. So why does that relate to reliability? Well, how does reliability occur to your senior management? Because how reliability occurs to your senior management is how reliability is likely to occur in your company. How does reliability occur to procurement and purchasing? How does reliability occur to operations? How does reliability occur to your technicians? And how does reliability occur to you? So how reliability occurs to all these stakeholders is quite likely how it will occur in your organization. In fact, it goes out even wider than that. You have stakeholders across your organization, in and outside of your enterprise, from your suppliers all the way through to your customers and regulators, that can both enable reliability and disable reliability. And we need an army of reliability leaders to create asset performance. One way we do that is to create a system to articulate reliability. In many organizations, we find that there's not a clear idea around reliability. The maintenance staff may have a general concept of it. There may be a reliability engineer or two that have a very good concept of it. However, the rest of the stakeholders do not have a clear understanding of it. We use Uptime Elements, a reliability framework for asset performance. You can see it's 29 elements that we say you have to do well all the time to have asset performance. It's broken into 4 knowledge domains: reliability engineering for maintenance in the orange, asset condition management and condition monitoring in the green. We've got work execution management in the blue, and leadership for reliability in the red. Of course, all done over the entire asset life cycle. So it looks like a clever set of options, and it is. And it is better to have a clever set of options than to not have a clever set of options. But what we really like to use it for is an engagement and an empowerment tool. In other words, at the level above clever options, we like to use it to engage and empower the stakeholders across the enterprise so that we can have an army of reliability leaders. Because the most common failure mode in most organizations is what we say is the failure of reliability leadership. What's missing is a disciplined approach to balancing value and risk through a framework to support decision making. And I can tell you, you already have an approach to balancing value and risk. It's how decisions are being made in your organization today. Software such as Maximo or SAP or some of the other large EAMs, and that's why you need to be putting the information in and closing work orders in an accurate way and putting your costs in and your labor in, because this is the tool that's going to help you refine your decision making. And then, of course, you need to make sure you're taking all of the people on the journey with you. We have met the enemy, and he is us, for those of you who are old enough to remember our friend Pogo. We did a study of 1,000 asset-intensive organizations around the world with the support of the Institute of Asset Management, the Asset Management Council in Australia. Many other countries and companies helped, and we found that we asked many questions. This is part of a large research report that's available at Reliability Web. But we asked what's the biggest single obstacle for improving asset performance on the list below? And what we got was 25% of the time that there was a challenge in cost and funding. And about 18% of the time there was a challenge in priorities, where we actually focus our energy. In 12% of the time, executive management was the challenge, and in 8% of the time, actually having capabilities was the actual challenge. So 40% of the time, the number one answer to that question was organizational culture. Organizational culture was the number one single obstacle for improving asset performance. We say culture is created with leadership. Uptime Element supports leadership by creating true north in your own organization's mission, vision, and values. In other words, oftentimes, people treat that mission, vision, values as simply a plaque on the wall, something to be read every once in a while, but it's not really anything that we have to pay a lot of attention to. And we say it is the only true north in the entire organization. It's the only truth we can find in many organizations. Then we use Uptime Elements framework to engage the reliability leaders, to engage them in the what and the why of reliability. And that is how we create an empowered and engaged frontline to give them the ability to create the how to. In other words, it's their how to. They know a lot about the equipment already. They know a lot about the company, and we wrap that in accountability, integrity, commitment, leadership, clarity, and team, and create incredible results. So there's a few things just to keep in mind. There's a few correlations that might help you think about this in a way that is very healthy and productive. The culture of your organization is reflected in the reliability of your equipment. Leadership creates the culture, and performance matches culture at 100% level. So the logic for those statements then is that if you can change the culture of your organization, you can change the reliability. If leadership is the leverage to create the culture, then if you want to move your asset performance, you should focus on leadership, because as you improve the culture, you will improve the performance. Let's just get a little bit better view. What is reliability? That may seem like a very basic and simple question. If you're here on this this webinar right now, you can chat an answer to that. In other words, I want you to chat an answer to me right now. What is reliability? I'll give it a second, and you can put your answer in the chat. There's a chat tool in your webinar control panel. Somebody says it allows you to sleep on a plane. That's a good definition. Someone put in that when you turn on the lights, it works. That's a good answer. Somebody says it's uptime. And even if we, in the interest of time, somebody says it's trust, 100%. In the interest of time, we could ask this to numerous different parties, and we would get numerous different answers, and that's fine. In fact, all of those are good explanations for what is reliability. but are we driving to multiple destinations? We find even when we're with 5 or 10 people in the organization who are driving reliability, that they don't even have a consistent single answer for the question. It's okay which answer you pick. We're not here to tell you a specific definition of reliability. We're just suggesting that if you're on a journey, you should have a very specific destination. It's one thing if you're all in maintenance and you have a general idea of reliability, but we're saying that reliability is not a maintenance initiative. You need stakeholders. In order to gain stakeholder support, you have to have a pinpoint destination. We see these roadmaps for reliability, and this is what they often look like. Now, again, it's fine if you're in the maintenance department and you're using a roadmap like this because you can find your way through. But when you're trying to gain stakeholder buy-in, you don't want your roadmap to look like this. If you had a typical journey of going from Nigeria to South Africa, you would have you would have a route. You would know how long you would travel each day. You'd know when you'd stop for fuel. You'd know when you'd stop for food. You'd have an idea, and you could explain to me what the journey would be like. So if I was going to join you, I would have an idea of what the journey would be like. But we don't do that typically when it comes to reliability. The other thing to think about is the other inquiry we work with is, where does reliability come from? So let's just let that sink in for a minute. Where does reliability come from? Well, I don't know about in Africa, but in the United States, everything's made in China these days. So we can just probably order a bunch of reliability from China and have it shipped in. Hey, if your company could buy reliability, it would have already done so. It would have written a check and had reliability shipped in. The thing is, you cannot buy reliability. It's not something that's available for purchase. You have to earn reliability. So I want to just talk about reliability and where it comes from, maybe in a little different way than you're used to talking about it. There's a huge, what we call, domain of knowledge on reliability. If you look at the SMRP body of knowledge around the CMRP, it's 2,800 books. So if you read all 2,800 books, do you have reliability? And we say that, having a domain of knowledge is very, very useful. It's super great to know about reliability. And that's where most of us work. We have something we think we don't know. If we can find out this secret, we can have reliability. And we spend a lot of time and money and effort in the domain of knowledge. Now, it's very helpful, but that is not where reliability comes from. We also, as humans, we work in what we call the domain of experience. And probably the people on this webinar have, dozens of years of experience. We combine that and we've got hundreds or if not thousands of years of experience. But the past doesn't create the future when it comes to reliability. So the domain of experience is certainly helpful, but that's not where reliability comes from. You have to generate reliability. It comes from what we call the domain of generation, and that's what we put people in touch with the uptime elements. And that's creating something new, bringing something forth that doesn't exist right now. And that's the domain of generation, and that's where reliability comes from. We use the framework to get everybody to be able to speak the same language and think the same basic fundamental ideas. And those are ideas of what and why, not how to. Each one of the elements on uptime elements is like a language. It's like a simple concept. And that's how we align, engage, and empower stakeholders across the organization. We noticed that we've done about 500 uptime assessments, and we noticed that the things that the three companies have, the three success factors that most companies have, is a framework. So like uptime elements, they have a roadmap. In other words, they sort of can describe the journey they're on, and they've got guiding principles. Here are some of the companies we've worked with recently that have what we call uptime award-winning programs. In fact, we're in the middle of the 2016 Uptime Awards right now. If you go to imc-2016.com, you should be able to find the Uptime Awards link. I think you can get there by doing uptimeawards.com as well. And it's an assessment based on uptime elements. But what we see is that they have executive sponsorship, in other words, top-down direction setting, cross-functional asset performance, doing process redesign, and bottom-up improvement. What's that really look like? Another way to sort of look at it is to show that we need executive sponsorship. We can't do it with executive permission because executive sponsorship sets that top-down direction setting and alignment. But we also need all the stakeholders that you see at the bottom of the pyramid, all of what we might refer to as the different departments, understanding about reliability so that they can help us do asset performance process redesign. And then, of course, we need to empower the frontline workforce to create leadership for reliability, reliability engineering for maintenance, asset condition management, and work execution management. You need all three of those things happening at the same time to create a sustained asset performance improvement and, more importantly, a lasting reliability leadership culture. They're directly related. And we use Uptime Elements for that. And we hope that you, at some point in time, will get involved with it. Once again, we use your mission, vision, and values as the true north. We align the stakeholders on the what and why, and we use it to engage and empower the front line on how to. The three rules are culture of organization reflected in reliability of equipment, leadership creates the culture, performance matches the culture at 100% level. Leaders align everybody on what and why. Uptime Elements enables the front line to develop the how to. You focus on empowering, enabling, and aligning. We go to companies and ask them who is responsible for safety, and of course they say everyone. When we ask the same thing about reliability, we usually find it's Joe and his team back in the maintenance trailer. Reliability is everyone's responsibility, and you need to create an army of reliability leaders at your organization to create asset performance. There's over 1,000 companies now applying the Uptime Elements framework. There is a certification called the Certified Reliability Leader around Uptime Elements, and these are just some of the companies that have gotten involved in expressing the Uptime Elements through the Certified Reliability Leader program. It is based on a very specific body of knowledge. You can find out more at reliabilityweb.com and just click the bookstore. And they're available at Amazon to ship to Africa in a very efficient manner. The other thing I want to say about Uptime Elements and the Certified Reliability Leader, you don't just want to create economic return on investment for your reliability improvement efforts. Of course, managers are always pushing us for better economic return on investment. But if you do not pin your reliability program to the delivery of what we call the triple bottom line, in other words, in addition to economics, we're delivering environmental sustainability and social responsibility. In fact, we ask certified reliability leaders to pledge that using more energy or material than a process demands is a failure. We have children and children's children, and we have no right to use more energy or material than a process demands. And that's one reason why we're looking for additional certified reliability leaders, because the planet is suffering at this point in time. And we think that reliability leaders have a huge leverage to begin to reduce the energy consumption and the material consumption of the world. Here's one of our poster companies for Uptime Elements, Reliability Leadership, Reliability Transformation, Bristol Myers Squibb. They are practicing this at 30 sites around the world. They have 300 certified reliability leaders. More than half of those do not work in maintenance, and they've produced incredible results. We'd really like to invite our friends from Africa to consider presenting at the International Maintenance Conference, December 12th through 16th. The call for abstracts is open. Just go to imc-2016.com and submit an abstract. It is 1,200 people from 34 different countries. Would very much love to have you there. In Florida, weather is beautiful in December, so we promise you that. You can also go to uptimeawards.com to see if your program qualifies for an Uptime Award. We'd love to see you there. I have been ordered to also tell you I am a messenger for the Women in Reliability and Asset Management. It's a group that was started by Kelly Ohanlon, one of the co-founders of Reliability Web. You can find more information on Women in Reliability and Asset Management at maintenance.org. We hope to see you there. To leave you with this, I first off just want to thank you for two things. Listening to my presentation and to say that although I did all the talking, I really want to thank you for the work we were able to create together here. And with that, Jonathan, I don't know, are you available here? Do you want to say something in closing? I want to thank you for allowing me to be a guest on this webinar as well.
Okay, I don't know. Can you hear me, Terry?
Yes, I hear you very well.
Okay, sorry for the slight. I had some little difficulty with my internet connection, but that's okay. Thank you also for taking out time out of your busy schedule to talk to us today, and it's an honor to that you are here to actually have this discussion with us. We still have a couple of questions, which if for the next five, say 6 minutes, if you would be able to help us give some answers here. I don't know, is that okay with you, Terry?
That's just fine. I see Javier has asked about what are the elements of a reliability mission and vision. And let me just say that although I do support reliability mission and visions, there's only one mission and vision, and that's the mission and vision of your organization. So the thing I'll say about it is that it's already difficult in Western companies because things are organized around departments. And so as soon as you start to organize around departments with its own measurements, you start to create almost an internal competition for resources and funding and attention and leverage. So although I support having a clear reliability mission and vision, I only support that in cascading fashion with the overall mission and vision. We don't want, in other words, to deliver reliability while operations, in other words, in maintenance, and while operations isn't. So there's only one company, and so what we try to do is to tie the reliability efforts to the company's mission and vision rather than creating a sub mission and vision in reliability. Now, if you can create a nice, simple one sentence mission, something like supporting the company's ambition to be an environmental leader and, social responsibility, beacon or something like that, where you're actually showing how reliability delivers the mission. So I would suggest you start with the company mission and then find all the ways that your reliability efforts map to that company mission and write something around that to enable the company's mission and vision through reliability. And I hope that answers that question. The other comments that are up, some of the other comments up there are people who shared their reliability definitions, which I appreciate. How is another question we've got is how is the approach to human errors failure? Well, if human errors cause functional failure, then that's how they're typically affecting reliability. We like to see several things to bring the human error part of it down. One is processes, procedures, and checklists. There is no shame in using checklists. Pilots who are very smart people use checklists. Many, surgeons in an operating room use checklists. So you can really gain a lot of benefit from using checklists and procedure. That is, all the case studies that we see where they brought that what we call infant mortality down to a reasonable level happened through training and use of checklists and procedures. So although that may sound like a boring answer, not a lot of excitement in it, that's what we'd say with that. Someone's asking what's the leading metrics for reliability. Well, that's a pretty deep question. There is no one right answer for that. It depends on your business context and what you're trying to accomplish. You can take some straight out of the book. Availability is an indicator of reliability. But when you say leading metrics, I don't know if you're referring to leading key performance indicators. If you are, what we like to see is leading indicators have two traits that are in common. One is that it predicts the lagging indicator. In other words, it predicts the goal, so it's tied, it's cascaded to the goal, and that it's influenceable. In other words, it's achievable by the people that are being asked to achieve it. In other words, it's within their power and their purvey to do. So the two rules is that it be predictive of the lagging indicator, and that it be something that the team themselves can influence. And those are change over time as your approach to reliability matures. You should continually look for new lag indicators, and then continually find leading indicators that you can manage by. Leading indicators are really the leverage in which you can make change in your organization.
Okay, I think just one last question, if you can attend to that also in just, let's say in a minute, so that will allow you go back to your event.
The last question is about what's our take on bad actor identification and reliability. I think it's a very valid way to focus our efforts. What we say is that 80% of our reliability challenges are in 20% of our assets, and I think it's very important to maintain a focus on the bad actors. We use what we would say the orange. In fact, I'll go back and find the right slide so I can talk to it a little bit. I could use this one. We use the orange for that. In other words, we get you to look at it from a Pareto point of view. Where you're putting your reliability problems up on, and what you usually find when you stack them is that 80% of your problems are in 20% of your systems. And we use orange. We use the approaches in reliability engineering for maintenance to knock those down. And in theory, you knock them down and new bad actors come onto your list. They may not be as bad as the old bad actors, but you continually are looking at it from a bad actor approach and applying the tools of orange, of reliability engineering for maintenance. That will only get you a certain way. You still will not be able to those are ways that you use to create planned maintenance efficiencies and effective approaches to reliability. But we use another domain. We use the work execution domain, believe it or not, and the defect elimination, because you've got defects coming in faster than your reliability engineering can take them out. In other words, you've got defects from raw materials, defects from maintenance materials, defects from maintenance workmanship, defect from operations, and defect from poor design happening faster than the orange can remove them. So you sort of need a bottom-up defect elimination, a floor level direct action taken by the frontline workforce in combination with the bad actors that you're identifying using the orange. I hope that began to answer that. I don't know, Jonathan, there's one more maybe. How do you correlate the bathtub curve and different failures of a failure mode recorded in your CMMS and therefore give it a distribution? Well, I don't. The bathtub curve is really only 4% of the way that your assets fail. So what we'd rather see you do is spend your time having failure causes and failure codes in your CMMS down to be able to show how your assets are failing and what you did to remedy that, and things of that nature, so that you can deal with the failures you're actually experiencing. And as you knock one failure pattern down, you can keep on working for others.
Okay, I think that's all the questions we can take for now. If you have any further questions, please, you can still direct it to our email address provided on the event, and then we'll see how to provide answers. Again, I want to say thank you to Terry for taking our time to speak with us. I know you have an event to get back to. Thanks to Reliability Web as a team, and thanks to Women in Reliability and Asset Management, also to Mara and Co, for helping joining us to put this event together. Just before we go, this event was put together by the Maintenance Institute Africa, And basically, Terry, we're trying to see how to create this culture of reliability here on the continent of Africa. And we have these webinars that come up once every month, and we will be hosting different presenters for different events. So we look forward to our next webinar and see who will be speaking with us. And also for those interested in the certified reliability leader that Terry has talked about, good news, we have commenced communications to see how to get this down, and we're looking at the third quarter through the fourth quarter of this year to have Terry and his team right here in Nigeria to have this workshop and also possibly administer the exams at the end of the day. So we're looking forward to that event, and also please go to our website www.tmiafrica.org. We have more resources there. These webinar is also recorded, so you can also uh, go onto our website. And for those that have attended, you'll get a link to this webinar, so you could also listen. And those that didn't join early enough. So thank you, Terry, for your time. We hope to work and see you very soon in Nigeria, and also to come over to the IMC much later in the year. So thanks to all our attendees, and also thank you, Terry, for your time.
Thank you,
Do have
Jonathan.
a great day at the conference today.
Appreciate it. Thank you now. Bye.
Okay, good. Okay, bye. That will be all for today. Thank you.